In today's world, we hear names like Apple, Google, Meta, and Tesla, tech giants worth trillions. But what if I told you none of them come close to the richest company in history? A company so powerful, it had its own army, its own navy, and could even declare war on countries. A company worth $8 trillion in today's money. And yet, it's one you've probably never heard of. This is the untold story of the Dutch East India Company, also known as the VOC, a company that shaped global trade, colonized nations, and eventually collapsed under the weight of its own greed. Let's dive into the rise and the brutal fall of the most powerful corporation the world has ever seen.
Chapter 1: The First Corporation. Europe is ablaze with ambition. Spices from Asia aren't a luxury anymore, they're a currency of power. To break Portugal's monopoly, the Dutch States General sign a single sheet of parchment and accidentally create something the world has never seen. A corporation with the legal right to raise armies, build forts, and mint its own coins. They call it the Verenigde Oost-Indische Compagnie, the VOC. Investors rush in. For the first time in history, shares of a company are traded openly on an exchange. Amsterdam's harbor turns into a forest of masts. One voyage can return 400% profit. Nutmeg bought for pennies in Banda sells for a small fortune back in Europe. With every ship that sails, the VOC grows richer than kings, and the Dutch Republic becomes a superpower fueled by cloves, cinnamon, and gunpowder. Chapter 2: How the VOC took over the world. Behind the massive profits was something rotten. The VOC wasn't just a company, it was an empire, and it ruled with fear. In the Spice Islands, they executed local leaders, burned rival crops, and massacred entire villages, all to protect their monopoly. Its officials were untouchable. Many lived like kings, bribed local rulers, and stole fortunes on the side. By the 1700s, corruption was everywhere. Outposts became dens of greed and drunken violence. Ships were overloaded. Books were cooked. And profits began to disappear. Chapter 3: Greed, Corruption, and Collapse. To stay afloat, the VOC borrowed heavily from Dutch citizens. Soon, it owed the modern equivalent of billions. Meanwhile, its rivals, the British and French, were rising fast. By the end of the 1700s, the once great company was drowning in debt, its soldiers unpaid, its ports crumbling. In 1799, the Dutch government had seen enough. They dissolved the VOC. And just like that, the most powerful corporation in human history was gone. Chapter 4: The Hidden Legacy of the VOC. The VOC vanished. But the world it built never disappeared. The very idea of a corporation, a company that lives longer than any human, with legal rights, armies, and shareholders, was born with the Dutch. Today we take it for granted. Apple, Amazon, Google, they don't rule colonies, but they shape governments, influence elections, and hold more data than most countries. The VOC was the first blueprint, and it left behind more than ruins. It helped turn Europe into a global power. It changed how nations traded, how wars were fought, how wealth was measured, and it showed something chilling. That when a company is given too much power, it stops being a company. It becomes a state. The VOC died in 1799, but the system it created still runs the world today. Chapter 5: What comes next? History doesn't repeat itself, but it does echo. The VOC was just the beginning. In the next story, we'll uncover the rise of a forgotten empire, one that built the modern world and vanished without a trace.
Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you there.